everybody, and thank you for being here for another Saturday Night Fever live stream. Of course, thank you, my co-host Chattanooga Ed. And I should have known that was going to happen. There we go. All right, now I've got the echo out of my headset. That's always a wonderful way to start, but at least everything's functioning properly. I'm going to run through and say some hellos real quick, and then we will do an announcement, and then we'll jump into the topic tonight. As far up as I could go, we've got mainly betas, Pep the Creek Aquatic, S is here, State Creek Aquatics 2, rolling through Dragon Lair, Gamer Veteran, good to see you, Pegasus Arena, which did post a link further up for a like Fish Fam Discord that she's got going. So thank you for making that. I will try my best to get in on that, but I'm in so many Discords that I already have muted at this point. It's about impossible for me to keep up. One Dirty Platty, I think, said was going to be on the Lurkers Lounge tonight. Always appreciated. Love you, Lurkers. You're always welcome to hang out and listen. Sean Chadwick, what's going on? Rolling through here. Mr. Fish Sir, Ray Aquatics. There it is. Sean Chadwick also became a member. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the team. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy the behind-the-scenes content and all those little perks. You all, the members, also get a kind of a heads up on any time I do a sale or anything on the fisherandfever.com shop. So there's some other advantages. I appreciate you joining the family. And, of course, the custom emojis in the chat and on comments, which I know you're a commenter, so enjoy those. Fuggin Fish, Fuggin, just to not be misheard on that one, is in here. And he is actually going to be streaming after us, but we'll talk more about that here in just a second. Sam Mouse 350 Twin, Scott's Aquatics, Tim Carter, Rockin' Fish, Carrie Habercorn. I also saw Science Gal in here at some point. Mike's Aquatics and Things starting it out, pooping on the chat with that $1 poop emoji. Appreciate you fertilizing the plants. Look at them up there. Look how pretty they are. See all those wonderful roots? That's from that fertilizer, so thank you. Kim Carwick, good to see you. Good luck with that Oscar tank when you get it set up. As I mentioned, the only luck I've really had with scaping an Oscar tank is when I use small terracotta pots to put the plants in to try and keep the Oscars from messing with them too much and uprooting them. And that did fairly well for me. But you may have great success, and I know some people have had great luck with aquascaping an Oscar tank. That's just the only luck I had with my mean old Oscars. Mike's Aquatics and Things. Hello again. Rico Stan, what's going on? Edgar Reyes, Griffin Fish Room, Carrie Habercorn said hello, but hello again. Catfish Terry, what's up? Vision Tanktics. And I'm at the bottom. I'm sure I missed somebody. My apologies. In terms of the announcement for tonight, we are only going to do 1 hour as opposed to the normal hour and a half we do on Saturdays. And Fuggin Fish, Kev, that's Fuggin, is going to be streaming starting at 8:30 Eastern time. That's just a tonight thing. We'll return back to the hour and a half next Saturday. And, of course, we'll still have our Thursday stream. Hey, John McKenzie, how are you? But I'll be honest, I've got a ton of stuff to get done. I've got a bunch of orders and giveaway winners that I've got to get packages ready to ship out on Monday. And a big part of that is cutting styrofoam since it is getting colder. So I've got several hours of taking templates and cutting styrofoam just to get everything ready so that I can get everything. Oh, camera's acting weird again. Get everything out first thing Monday. I need to get a new camera ordered. I looked at one last night, but I didn't see a good one on the super weekend specials. Terry Tropical Tanks, what is up? And then, of course, tonight, at some point, we will go through, like we did last week, and I will give you all 5 recommendations for YouTube channels I think you will enjoy. Well Done Tanks, cutting styrofoam is the worst. Yeah, I've got a decent method to it, but I think I'm going to rig up a hot wire for just blazing right through it. But I'm happy. I'm not complaining. Absolutely happy to have as many orders to ship out Monday as I do, and I appreciate all of you all that have placed orders, and thank you.
Are you going to make a hot wire, or did you buy one?
I may make one. I may buy one. I don't know. It all depends on time. Sometimes it's easier to just buy one if you can find one cheap than it is to take the time to make one. And right now, time is of the essence, if you will, on getting stuff done around here.
They have them at Hobby Lobby, but the problem is Hobby Lobby is not open on Sundays. But if they honor the Michaels discount, then they always have 150% off thing. So you can always get one thing 50% off. So you can get your wire. They cost $25, but you can get it for $12.50.
That's good to know.
But
See, I would use their 40% off coupon for Hobby Lobby's app. I didn't know they'd do that 50% off, so that is awesome.
Yep. Oh, I thought it was always 50%. Maybe it's 40.
Yeah, theirs is 40
know.
at Hobby Lobby. I thought you were saying they would match Michael's 50%
They
off.
matches Michael's 50.
So yeah, so I'll have to start doing that.
Paid half because I literally bought one this week. That's why I know it's just fresh in my mind. But you could always go buy Michael's tomorrow, maybe, and buy it.
Possibly, I may do that. And this camera's going to act up. I may have to switch over to the laptop. Yeah, let's just do that. It's not going to be nearly as pretty, I know, but it's at least not going to be glitchy. And then I'll have to look over here. This is going to throw me off. Let's close this. Okay. Now that's really delayed, but we'll see. I don't think I like this. Technical difficulties. We've got to back up. Let's go with it for a little bit. All right. So tonight's discussion, how to properly set up an aquarium. Now, when I say properly set up, I don't mean to... thank you for dropping the like there. I appreciate that. A little subspace interference, says Lefty. Yeah, absolutely. See, I'm talking about how to properly set up an aquarium. And so, the government's like, shut him down. But I don't mean that in the sense of there's one way to do something. As all of us know that have been in the hobby for a while, there are many ways to do it. There are many ways to skin a cat, so to speak. Don't go skinning any cats. Ed and I will beat you up. But the things that I kind of want to touch on are the core or the basic elements that go into properly setting up an aquarium, whether it's something for shrimp, something for, different types of fish, if it's, an aquascape tank or just a specific planted tank, because there are a lot of ways to do things. So, you might hear, and this is not a diss to anybody, but you might hear people say, well, you need to go gravel, or you have to do it bare bottom, or you have to do a sand bed. Hi, Father Fish, not picking on you. But there are so many ways to do things, but there are some key fundamentals that I want to... Sorry, I'm moving stuff around on my monitor so that I can try and not lose my mind looking at this camera instead of being over here. Key fundamentals that I want you to keep in mind when setting up any kind of tank. And we can discuss all different types of tanks. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to throw those in the chats. Just put @FishroomFever on there. It will highlight for me, and I will be able to read those nice and clearly. Should I miss anything? All right, I did not. Good. No highlighted questions missed. So one of the things that I find, and most of us that have been around for a while, we understand balance. And that is basically at the core of... how the lag on this camera is killing me. Of the core of any aquarium you set up is you want to try and find that balance. And of course, nature is going to try and find that balance on its own. And this can be seen in all aspects of an aquarium. If nutrients get way out of whack, you start getting, blackbeard algae and other things going on. But even in a well-balanced aquarium, you start to see nature kind of taking its course. Case in point being just that algae that gets on the glass. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I know some people can't stand it, but that's just nature finding its balance and working its way in and trying to bring you a more natural fish tank. And one of the things that got me thinking about this topic specifically was a comment I had on a piranha video that I put on another platform. Somebody commented, well, I thought piranha were supposed to be in an empty tank. No. Unfortunately, and again, not picking on anybody because I've seen some tanks set up that way. A lot of times, specifically what happens with piranha is people get them, they see a bunch of people have had them in empty tanks, they put them in an empty tank, and by that I mean there's no decor, no plants. My tank, for anybody that's not seen it, it's got an extremely large 3-foot piece of driftwood in it. I've got different plants in there that they like to destroy, but it's based upon their natural environment. And I don't want to confuse anybody with chasing numbers, because in no part of this am I saying you should be chasing numbers. But I want you to kind of think like the fish when you're setting it up. And this even applies for, captive bred fish too, not just wild caught stuff. But if you want your fish to be happy, kind of think like the fish. Think, what habitat would they enjoy? And of course, part of that is finding the balance with, well, this is what I want, and this is how I want it to look. But keep them, take them into account as well. So like with the piranha tank, I've set it up to where there's open area, and then you've got areas of cover. You've got this piece of driftwood in there. You've got hidey holes, if you will. So these fish have the option, if they would like to hide and be out of sight, out of mind. They have a comfort area. They have spaces where they can feel safe. They also have plenty of open area. And most of you know they're going into a 220 gallon, so they'll have more space. But they have an open area in the tank. And I'll continue that on in the 220 when I do that. I have found, and this is with several different types of piranha, and I use them because they're one of those fish that is very, very commonly purchased for the wrong reason, and their tank is very rarely set up appropriately. But I have found if you give them the option of having a place to hide and having some open space, they will adapt and they will get accustomed to you. They will not stay skittish. A lot of people, one of the top complaints is they stay skittish, they stay shy, they freak out anytime you walk by. If you get that fish comfortable, and this goes with most fish, plecos may be an exception. You've got things like coolie loaches you might never see, certain fish that are just going to try and stay out of sight, out of mind, no matter what. But generally with most fish, as most of us have noticed, you get a fish, you get it comfortable, and it starts exhibiting more natural behaviors. It'll come up to the glass. It doesn't run every time you walk up. And another place where you see that is, I know a lot of us, when we feed our tanks, we feed them in the same corner of the tank. We have that one feeding spot we always feed at. So a lot of times, even if you're not feeding, you walk up to the tank, your fish swim to that spot that they're familiar with eating at, and they're not afraid to come out and see you. And then you don't feed them, and they kind of swim off and do their thing. But all that comes down to finding balance. Again, I'm not chasing numbers. I'm not trying to go, oh, well, these fish, those piranha specifically were wild caught. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, I have to have the exact parameters in which those fish lived in. I do try and mimic environment, including temperature. And the driftwood I have in there does, even after a year, is still leaching enough tannins to keep the water yellow every single week. But a big reason that I keep that water tannined is because with those specific fish, piranhas, there is some fin nipping. They do incur some slight damage from time to time. Sometimes some not so slight damage from time to time. And those tannins help keep those fish where they can heal up and be healthy. I've never pulled one of those piranhas out because it had a chunk out of it. I've always let them stay in there, and they've all healed up fine, including several times where they've had large holes out of the top of their head where another one has just taken a whole mouthful off. But again, it's finding balance. And of course, those fish themselves try and find balance in there. They have a pecking order. They have the kind of the boss fish, as most of you all know, with lots of different types of fish. You'll get that one fish, and it's really common with African cichlids, that is kind of your tank boss. These fish are no different. Real quick,
just real quick. Have you lost any of the piranhas from fighting?
I have not lost any of the Carob piranha. So I did have a horrible failure of an experiment. And this happens, especially when you try things. I've had success in the past cohabitating red belly piranhas with other piranhas in the same tank. When I got my Caribes, I also got 10 red bellies, and they were all the same size. They were all an inch or smaller. And they grew up together. And the Caribes, one by one, realized that the red bellies did not belong, and they did pick them off. But all of the Caribes remain. I've not lost any of them. So unfortunately, that did not work out. But in terms of keeping them all together, they do well. You get some occasional nipping and things like that. But I do want to say, Fantastic Freaks with the $2 super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, algae on the glass is a sign that it's time for a pleco. There we go. It's always a good time for a pleco, am I right? Now, I'm going to try this other camera real quick. So let me do this because this is really annoying me. Give me just 2 seconds. And if you see anything in the chat that you want to grab, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to swap USB ports on this camera and see if that helps.
I'm afraid to give suggestions because I don't want to go out of order on how he wants to do things. I've been in class all day today, and I literally got here 5 minutes before, so I wasn't able to discuss with him what he was going to talk about. So if he misses something that I think is important, I'm going to just throw it out there. So
Absolutely.
I didn't know you could even hear me.
Oh, no, you're good. I've got my headset on. I'm just moving screens around, and let's see if this works. Maybe it'll stay working for a little bit. All right, grab my chat back over here. Thank you again, Fantastic. I do really appreciate you, brother.
Honestly, I think one of the most important things is know what type of fish you want to put in there first.
Absolutely.
If they're a fish that wants to be able to hide under rocks, if it needs to suck on wood.
Yep.
With guppies, basically, I think they'd be happy in an empty tank. The females like to hide when they're being chased by the boys, and then you want something to hide their fry. But the boys, they're just happy dancing for each other or chasing girls. It's that most of this stuff is for me for looks, I think.
Absolutely right. And guppies is a phenomenal example of setting it up properly. There's so many ways to do it to where you can still have a healthy environment for those fish and maintain a good balance. You don't have to have specific plants. You don't have to have a specific substrate. You have those core things that you talked about, which are having some place for that female to kind of get away from the males and have some reprieve and some relief, and having some place for the fry to hide so that they don't get eaten by the parrots. Other than that, we see guppies in everything from bare bottom to sand, gravel, pretty much any type of substrate mix that you have, including one of my now favorites is where you just have there is no substrate. It's bare bottom, but you have Java moss that just covers the whole bottom of the tank. That provides the purpose of giving the guppy someplace great to hide. Of course, Java moss being one of those awesome plants just about everybody loves, so you can never have enough of that. Mainly Bettas with $3 super chat says, happy Saturday, guys. Great to see you both. Great to see you too, Mainly Bettas. I appreciate you being here. I really appreciate the support as well. Thank you very, very much for that.
Now, a lot of IFGA guys go bare bottom for their guppies because they don't want their tails to get messed up on substrates.
Absolutely.
And I've looked at Lucas's. He has substrates. I don't see that many tails messed up. I have substrate on all of mine, and I don't see tails getting messed up. But I guess if you're an IFGA guy and you've got one prize fish, you do every possible thing to try to make sure it's 100%.
Absolutely.
So you do the same food, the same temperature, the same water. Everything is just always perfect. So
it's kind of like you park your show car in the garage. You don't leave it out in the driveway.
Yeah. But if you want people to see your car, you park it outside. And I enjoy looking at my cars, my fish. I want them in pretty tanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's, we talked about plecos a bit, and you mentioned, find out if it's a wood eater. Plecos is one of those things that I could probably spend 2 hours talking about because you've got so many misconceptions, unfortunately, with plecos, and what their needs are, how you set their tanks up. And there's so many variations of pleco. Again, it kind of goes back to look at what you want and find out what they need. John's Fish Room, hello from Ohio. Hello from Tennessee. Appreciate you being here, John. Griffin does bare bottom here in the fish room. I have a mix. I have bare bottom tanks. This is gravel capped with sand. I, of course, have dirted tanks capped with sand. I actually have sand capped with gravel there halfway through that. Gravel only. We got sand only, and then I have some where the gravel and the sand are mixed together in just a mush. So it all depends on what my desired outcome is in the tank and what I think is going to be best for those particular fish that are going into that tank. Kevin Marquis with the $2 super sticker with the exercise pair says, cool. I appreciate you, Kevin. I really, really do. Thank you for that. Very awesome of you. I hope you're having a good time tonight. Paul Sotero. Well, Paul, feel free to click through those commercials if they try and kill you with commercials. We did delete all of the mid commercials quite some time ago because YouTube was getting horrible about that. Every time I'd turn around on a live stream, they'd try and put like 30 commercials on it. And finally, I was like, nope, none. You're not putting those commercials on there. Mike's Aquatics thing says, thank you for all your support and everything you do for the Fish Fam. Thank you, Fish Fam, for all your support. As Ed will agree, we're just a couple of goofy guys that love fish and enjoy hanging out, talking to you all. So, it's appreciated, the level of support and say friendship and camaraderie that comes from the Fish Fam. And of course, the wealth of knowledge. It's a great place to be at. And thank you again, Mike. Appreciate the super chat, my friend.
I do keep bare bottom though for my quarantine tank.
Yep.
So I do for sure do that.
Absolutely.
And I used to do more bare bottoms, but I've really fallen in love with the sand cap. I absolutely love it. And I never thought I would go to sand, but I never thought I would have this many plants either. So
absolutely. Yeah, I really do enjoy it. And like the picture in the background behind Ed and I, it is the father fish dirted tank that I set up. And when you look at it, even though it's cartoonized, it kind of intensifies the color variances there. You can look at that sand substrate and you can see where it gets its different levels and layers and all that stuff. HC Aqua, what's going on, buddy? Just be aware, if you're setting up a shrimp tank, keep in mind the things that those shrimp want and not just what you want. We want to set up aquariums that we as hobbyists enjoy, and as the owners and the caretakers of these fish, shrimp, plants, things, we want to enjoy them, but we also want the inhabitants to be happy. The happier that your fish are, the more you can enjoy them. If you've got a tank where things are always sick because maybe you set it up a way that either you thought it should be, or maybe you came across the bad information, or you just said, you know what, this is how I'm going to do it. And then you've got either issues with maybe stuff's getting sick. Maybe it's because it's nervous all the time, or it's scared all the time. So it's stressed out. Or, inhabitants, tank mates, incompatible tank mates. There are not a lot of status quo things that I say you can't put these fish together. We've discussed in other streams, there are good starting points for beginners in terms of, hey, you probably don't want to put a datinoid in with your angelfish if you've never kept fish before. But in terms of each individual's progression, the more you learn and grow in the hobby, the more you get comfortable with trying things and you understand fish behavior and things of that nature. Let's see, T-Bones Fishies, what's going on? My friend says, Fisher Fever, what do you find best? A dirted tank, gravel tank, a gravel and sand tank, or a bare bottom tank? So this goes back again to, I don't feel that there is one best type of tank, and I'm not shaming anybody that says, hey, this is the way to do it. There are a lot of factors that play in there. You may be in a particular area, or the water that you get, there is one tank that works specifically well where others may not hold up. I have found there are pros and cons to all those different things. If it's sand capped, you don't have the issue of having that gravel full of detritus all the time, gravel vacuuming all that stuff out. However, you can do a gravel like this right here. I haven't gravel vac this thing probably 6 or 8 months since the last time that I completely rescaped it. Which is time for another one. That jungle valve is getting too big. It's killing off everything underneath it. But that's because I set it up to where this jungle valve, it just soaks all that stuff up out of the substrate, and so do the other plants. I've also got guppy grass in there. I've got some crypts. I've got a whole bunch of different stuff in there, different Anubias nana. But I have that tank set up to where I don't need to gravel vac it. So that could be a perk to that one. Well, if you set it up and it's fully loaded, I saw the white and the brown. I thought it was my dog or my cat Bo for a second. I was like, what? Let's get down, Bo. I was like, that's Nico. That being said, I have other tanks where, the piranha tank, case in point, it's got gravel and half of it's gravel over sand, but it's all gravel top. With 25 Caribe piranha and 2 common plecos in there, that thing gets a good gravel back. And it needs it. If you can set something up, like say you get your sand bed set up correctly, and you're not having to gravel back all the time, maybe that's the way that you want to go. If you're trying to get a lot of nutrients into some root-based plants, doing a dirted tank that's sand-capped is a wonderful way to go. Of course, there are also all the different aqua soils out there. Some I like more than others. I definitely do not like using any of the aqua soils that are the BBs, the round pellets. I absolutely hate working with that stuff. If you're going to try and do an aquascape, I would recommend avoiding it, just because think of pouring in a whole bunch of BBs and trying to get them to make, craters or ledges or mountains or anything like that. It's all a bunch of round balls. They all just want to go to the bottom and stay flat. So just keep that in mind. Fluval Stratum, yeah, I've got quite a few tanks with Stratum. It is not the round BB style. I enjoy Stratum. There was a learning curve with Stratum because I was used to not having the nutrients that Stratum provides. So I've done things like, over fertilize the tank and then end up with algae issues. And again, going back to the fish, I've got different tanks set up for different fish, different goals in mind, finding what that fish will enjoy. Like this, with all these plants, this is a mutt guppy tank. So it's got tons of room for the females to get away. It's got some high flow areas. The shrimp really enjoy that. I've got some bamboo shrimp in here. I'm sure you can't see it, but there's one right now. He's sitting there with all his fans open, right where that water jets into the tank, and he just sits there all the time and he eats nonstop. That's his favorite spot. Keeping in mind a good spot for him. The fry have plenty of places to hide. There's a big patch of guppy grass on the far side right by the overflow, which has a sponge on it to avoid the fry getting sucked out. And that's typically where I'll find my fry, is in that patch of guppy grass and right next to that filter sponge. It's a good hiding spot for them, and it also provides nutrients where they're picking stuff off of that sponge all the time, as most of us know that run sponge filters. As somebody mentioned, there it is. T-Bones Fishy says, I ask you what works best for you. It varies. It really does vary. What works best for me depends upon what fish I want to put in there and what my outcome is. So if it is a tank that, let's say I just want to grow frogbit in it. Like I want to grow some floaters out. My goal is to propagate as many floaters as possible to keep them in stock on the store. I don't want to set that up with a whole lot of other things that are going to soak nutrients out. I don't want to have guppy grass in that tank pulling out of the water column. Could I do it on most of mine? Where it works the best is I've got dirty tanks that are sand capped. I've got some root feeders in there. I see my camera glitching again. I'm sorry. I will get another camera order today. I've got root feeders in there that are working on that dirted substrate, pulling nutrients from there. I do dose Easy Green in those tanks as well, but I don't have anything else contending for nutrients in the water column, so to speak, even though other plants can, of course, pull from the water column when necessary. Oh, that camera's going to drive me nuts. I may talk without a camera at this point. Let's turn it off for a second and see how that goes. But really, like I said, I've got a variety of different substrates set up. My quarantine tanks, like Ed mentioned, what works best for me is having bare bottom. The tanks that I really, really want to grow Java moss in, I keep those bare bottom and loaded with juvenile plecos, juvenile bristlenose. That works best for me for, this camera's flashing at me, but that works best for me for getting maximum growth out of that Java moss. Those baby plecos, they produce a lot of waste, and that Java moss for me does a really, really good job of pulling that stuff out of the water. And it's a nice, again, kind of natural cycle. It also gives those baby plecos lots of little places to hide. If you're telling me I have to pick one style and one style only, That is a tough one. It wouldn't be dirted because I don't want to dirt all my tanks. I would say if I absolutely could only pick one type of substrate to go with, it would be the gravel sand mix. Not necessarily layered, but I get about 50% pea gravel from Home Depot and 50% pool filter sand. I get it all cleaned, I mix it together, and then I use that in the tank. If I could only pick one substrate, that's the one I'm going for. And part of that, honestly, also plays into the fact that, pea gravel is about half the price of full pool filter sand. So it cuts down the cost on having to buy as much sand for as many tanks. And that's something when you look into 60, 70, 90 tanks, that can definitely factor in. So if you wanted my one answer, the only thing, if I had to pick one, I hate that if I have to pick one game, but if I had to pick one, that would be it.
I would pick the pool sand, and if I was really trying to go cheap, I would take dirt from my backyard.
Right. Pegasus Arena says, Fisher Fever and Ed, when I go to add the dirt/sand and plants to my tanks, not replacing the water with fresh, how far do I drain water to do my first aquascape?
Ooh, if you're going to add dirt, you really can't have the water in there.
Well, you can have the height to which you want the dirt to go. And the only reason I say that, so like if you want an inch of dirt in there, you can have, about an inch of water in there. Because I've found when I dirt it, it's best to have that dirt wet before I sand cap it. That way it's already got the moisture in it. It's not trying to, get that moisture through the sand and mix up and all that stuff. So when I dirt my tanks, I guess I mud my tanks, if you will. And that just seems to work best for me. It also helps to kind of keep the dirt where I want it when I'm sand capping it. Other than that, like Ed said, you're going to want that water out of there.
Yeah, I think she's thinking she probably was going to leave the fish in too, would be my guess.
Yeah, I would not recommend it.
It'll be a huge mud mess.
Yes. Yeah. Now, are there some people out there that maybe can do it, that have expertise in a fancy method of doing so? Yes. Am I going to recommend it for somebody setting up their first dirted aquarium? Absolutely not. I would say go ahead and pull your fish out. Take a plastic tote or 5-gallon buckets or whatever. Get the water in there. Get your fish moved out. Drain that thing out. Dirt it, cap it, plant it, fill it, restock it. The only issues you might run into, depending upon what dirts and things you're using, just be aware of and have your testing ready for ammonia spikes and things of that nature. Yeah, absolutely. Froze Aquatic says, for me, it depends on what I'm stocking. For rams, I prefer sand. For Africans, I prefer gravel. For growouts, I prefer bare bottom. Yeah, I will definitely never do a dirted African tank. That's just a horrible idea to put those guys in a dirted tank where they're just going to dig it up and stir it up everywhere. A lot of it goes into, again, kind of the key fundamentals, looking at the basics of what do I want out of this tank? What are the fish going to want out of this tank? And how do I find that balance? Let me see. Oop. All right, it jumped on me. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, looks like I did not. Good. Fishimon64, what's up? Says, Fisher Fever and Ed, you ever used tube sand? Never used tube sand.
I don't know what tube sand is. Is that... I don't know. I'm just...
No, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just called something different there versus here. That's entirely possible.
Who said that?
Fishimon64.
Okay.
Furloughs Aquatics says, maybe you already addressed this, but how do you feel about pool filter sand? So I love pool filter sand. That is one of my favorite substrates. I've got pool filter sand in most of my setups. Absolutely love the stuff. The only reason I wouldn't go straight pool filter sand is because I do like a little bit of gravel mixed in with it to kind of help give some spaces for the roots to not have to fight so much through the sand, if you will. Kind of, I don't want to say make pockets, but and plus the price on it. Like I said, you can get the pea gravel for half the price, mix it 50-50 with sand has been my thing I'm doing now. And it goes a lot further, and you can still get that sandy look.
I never thought about doing that. I bet you I have 300 pounds of pool sand in my backyard. Because I just bought so many bags because I was afraid they wouldn't get any more in since it's like the winter season. I just want to be prepared.
Well, just make sure you leave your gate unlocked. I'll come fix that for you.
Never unlocked. I got a pool.
Pat Zodic / multiple aquarium says, so you muddy the waters, fish room fever. I muddy the water in the sense that I wet the dirt that I'm putting in for a dirted tank. I don't muddy the water in the sense that I have more water than there is dirt. So that,
I did do bare bottom for my tubbing.
And you did really well on your tubbing.
Yeah, I didn't want to put any extra soil in it, so it'd be easier to pull fish out at the end of the season, because I know it's just a temporary deal. And yeah, everything worked great.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, in the sense of when I hear muddy the waters, I think of like taking a handful of mud and dropping it into a full tank. Absolutely not. I moisten my mud before I sand cap it, or I put it into a small amount of water, let the dirt absorb the water, and do what it's going to do when it reacts with water. And that way it's already settled when I sand cap it.
See, I've never thought of that. I just put it in dry. I don't pack it down hard with my hands, but I do pack it down so it's level. And then I cap it. And then I enjoy watching the water go through the sand to get to the dirt. I actually enjoy watching it.
Right.
It's kind of like, I like watching different dyes in water. Just, come on, dude. Goofy cat keeps hitting me with his tail. And his tail's wet because somehow he got it in his cup of water. Oh, no, it was probably my wet tea, the sweat.
The condensation, yeah.
Got all wet, whacking me in the face.
Paul Sotero says, how thick is your sand cap? Couple inches. If in doubt, add a little bit more sand. Usually about 2 inches of sand will take care of it. If you find that it's not, you can add a little bit more. Father Fish would say, just add another inch of sand.
I always go for 2.5 inches is my goal.
Yeah, so there you go. Let me roll down here. Edgar Reyes says, how do you feel about Carob Sea Sands? So I have not used Carob Sea. I've not used any Carob Sea freshwater products ever. Now, I've used like their saltwater. I'm pretty sure it was Carob Sea. It's been over a decade ago. But I feel like it was Carob Sea live sand for saltwater tanks. But if they've got a freshwater product, I have not used that one, Edgar. So, oh, there you go. Instant Aquarium. Yeah, that's the one that's got the beneficial bacteria already in it. So
I just got it because it was super cheap.
Yeah, those are the ones that you don't want to rinse. Anything that's got on the bag that it's already got a biological process going in the bag, you don't want to rinse those. My pool filter sand, I typically rinse, although a lot of times it's clean enough you don't have to. Pea gravel from Home Depot, I'm always going to rinse. Just about any substrate, I'm probably going to give a quick rinse to just to get any type of contaminants or particulate off of it. But things like that have bacteria in the bag, you don't want to rinse that off of there. Let me see. Thank you, Zen, for posting the link. Roll down through here. Darlene's Tanks says, why now, do you keep your QT tank with no substrate? So, sponge filter. And then, generally speaking, one of two things is going to happen when you're using a QT tank. Either A, you've gotten the fish in, they've all died, and you didn't treat them. Whether, let's say, you're pulling it out of a tank to treat it in a QT. Maybe you unsuccessfully treated it and it died. In a case like that, I will pull my sponge. I use 1 parts bleach to 10 parts water, and I will soak it in there. I'll smush it real good and make sure I get everything out of it. I usually soak it in there for a day. And then I'll come back and I'll rinse it and smush everything out real good. And then I'll let it dry for a good week. I'll make sure, it's completely dried out. And that's because I have failed at killing whatever was trying to kill my fish. And so I want to make sure that it doesn't contaminate the tank. In those cases, I would oftentimes pull that tank, sanitize it, put it back. More often than not, though, what's happening when you're QTing fish, or at least when I am, is I'm bringing in new fish, and I just want to keep an eye on them. I just want to observe them to make sure they're healthy before they go in with it, whatever population I'm adding them to, whatever tank I'm putting them in. So generally speaking, they've come in, I've observed them. If I've had to medicate them, then they've spent the appropriate amount of time in there to be medicated and treated. So when they're coming out, if you think about it, when your fish are coming out of quarantine, they're a healthy fish, which means that you've not got anything negative in that water in that QT tank. So now you've got a QT tank, you've got your sponge in there, you've pulled those fish out, everything is healthy because you've successfully got those through the QTing process or through, bringing them back from whatever issue you were having. So how do you keep the cycle? I personally keep convict cichlids around. I have one tank that's dedicated to just a couple convict cichlids. When I need a QT tank, I pull the convict out, I put it with the other convicts. When I'm done using that tank, I'll put that convict back in the QT tank to help keep a beneficial bacteria load going in there. And just as simple as that. Another way you can do it is I've got a sponge running in this piranha tank right now off of a co-op USB air pump. It is in there just to be cycled. It's not in there for any additional filtration for the piranha. It's not required to help keep their load sufficiently balanced. It is in there just in case I need a sponge. And that is another way that you can do it if you don't want to keep an extra fish, so to speak, to keep a tank cycled, is to just have a sponge that you can run in one of your other tanks. And going back to, well, I'm pulling it out of a quarantine tank. If you've pulled the fish out of there and deemed them healthy enough to go in with whatever else you're putting them in, then that sponge should also be safe to be going in with whatever other fish you have, to kind of touch on contamination things.
You could also use male guppies. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't ever use female because they could drop fry and then you don't see it. And then if the next fish you put in would actually have fry, you could be messing up a line. But you can always pick out some of the big old boy guppies in your mutt guppy tank and throw them in there and keep it cycled.
Absolutely. And that may not have even been what you were asking, Darlene, but I feel like you've asked that before about how I keep them cycled, and I couldn't decipher what autocorrect actually typed in for you there in terms of the keep your QT with no substrate. And part of the reason I do keep it with no substrate, if you're asking why there's no substrate, is just to avoid any type of parasites or things getting in the substrate. It's real easy to look at a bare bottom tank and go, oh yeah, there's dead worms in there, so I'm killing off the worms where I'm doing a deworming, or if something small dies off in there, it can be easily lost if you've got a gravel bed in a QT tank. Plus, if you do have to sanitize it, it's a lot easier to pull an empty tank, sanitize that versus having to deal with sanitizing substrate. Let me see. Tim Carter said, what dirt did you use, and did you add anything to the dirt before you capped it with sand? So I used organic potting soil that I picked up at one of the hardware stores. I don't remember if it was Lowe's or Home Depot. Now, I did not add anything to it. I would say if you're wanting to set up a dirty tank, go check out Father Fish. He's got some great videos, and there's a whole list of other elements, if you will, and things that you can add into the dirt and mix in there to give you a nice active substrate, if you will. That would be my suggestion on that. But I did not. I just used the organic potting soil and I capped it off. And it seems to be working really well. See, hello, Marco Isidori. Good to see you. I think I have caught all. Hey, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Father Fish says, hello, fellow booty boys. Good to see you, Father Fish. So real quick, we've got about 15 minutes left because we're only doing the hour. And then Kev from Fuggin, F-U-G-G-I-N Fish, is going to be going on. He's got some things to share. Kev was a huge help on the the Halloween live stream. He came on and co-hosted for me that whole day. At least I can do is show him some love. give him a little bit of my time tonight and send some people over his way. I do want to follow up last week with 5 channels I recommend that you go check out. I'm not going to spend but a couple minutes doing this real quick, and then I'll jump to the questions in here. But there are some awesome channels. Again, this is about community, as all of us know. We've got a wonderful community here, and there's some people that I enjoy watching their videos, and we've got some new names here that may not be aware of these people. So first up, we have got Moonstone Aquatics. Kim at Moonstone has been a huge, I don't want to say, I hate the word fan, a huge supporter and a huge help. And she's been around for a while. She doesn't do, well, I mean, she's got several videos. She's not like an everyday type person, but neither am I. I don't post videos every day, but she's got some amazing fish there, and I would encourage you to check her out. I really enjoy what she's doing there. She's sitting at 150 subscribers. Most of the people I talk about tonight are going to be smaller channels because you know people like Father Fish, Punchy Paints, of course, Kaler's Aquatics, Kenny E at Daniken Aquatics, Guppy Guru, Well Done Tanks. Most people are aware of them. These are some people that maybe not everybody knows they do videos. Maybe you're looking for some new people to check out some new content because you're sick of listening to me and Ed and, you know, Guppy Guru and Bob Kaler, and you want somebody new. So Moonstone Kim, go check her out. She's awesome. If you don't like what you see, I'm not saying you have to subscribe to these people, but I feel they're worth a check out. Up next, we roll right on through here. Load it, load it, load it.
Or you could subscribe and just never go back. Don't hit the notifications, but sub, because they're still wonderful people.
They are wonderful people. I don't ever want to be that person that's saying that you have to go subscribe to this channel. These are just recommendations from me that I think you will like. Especially, we're getting a lot of new people, which is phenomenal, and I'm glad to have you all here. And I know a lot of times you're lurking, and I appreciate that. But these are awesome people that are kind of, you know, just starting out their channels. Sandy Doty's another one. She's 171 subscribers. She's got some awesome videos, and she's doing a really cool Fish Fam sticker board. I think she's carrying on that from Nathan, who has started doing that, who's not with us anymore at Sand Creek Aquatics. She's got some really cool stuff, and I think she's worth checking out. Let me pull this next one up real quick here. And I know I think I saw him in the chat tonight. If not, he's always hanging out. Got to meet him in person once, but he's a really great guy, and that would be Mr. Fish Sir. Brad's an awesome guy, Mr. Fish Sir. He's got some really cool videos. I got to meet him once. Looking forward to getting to meet him again soon. Looking forward to meeting a lot of people once the whole health issue has gone by.
Yeah, this has been so disappointing because James and I, we like to travel. And we were planning to meet a lot more people this year, and this whole COVID hit us.
It seems like we were out every other week at one point, and then it's all just kind of slammed us.
I think we still met more than anybody else.
I think
because,
so.
It's fun to go out.
And I do want to say I'm not scrolled down that far because I don't want to lose these questions I see. But a huge thank you to the mods. I know that you all are posting the links, and I appreciate that. And I hate putting extra work on you, but I really do appreciate you doing that. This next one is part of our Tennessee Fish Mafia, and she has kind of jumped up there. I didn't realize it, but she's getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, and that would be Tiffany White. She's 770, Ed.
Yep.
You're going to have to catch up here, buddy. Yeah. She has got some absolutely beautiful tanks, gorgeous rainbow fish. I think she still breeds angelfish, if I remember correctly. But she's got some awesome stuff going. She's part of the Tennessee Fish Mafia. She's kind of
super cool,
halfway across the state, but very cool. Got to meet her before, too. Go check her out. I think you'll like what she's doing. And then last but not least, and we'll grab these last questions, and then we'll get ready to hand it over to Kev. Let me pull their channel up here.
I love it, but I know H2O, another Tennessee guy, or I think it's Tennessee H2O.
Yep.
He was asking about the Flourish. Oh, man.
I have not used Flourish. My last one real quick, Scott's Aquatics, the awesome guy. I know Scott was in here earlier. I think Scott went on the lurk and listen, which is perfectly cool. Again, I appreciate everybody lurking hanging out, interacting. He's at 194 subscribers, so he's almost to 200, but he's got some awesome fish. And I love anybody that I can go look at plecos. So, but go check those people out. If you're looking for some awesome new fishing channels that maybe you haven't heard of, those would be my recommendations for the week. I'm going to grab these questions here. Levi's Outdoors and Aquatics says, what would you suggest for a 55-gallon live bear aquarium fish room feeder? So, I'm thinking guppies, endlers. Of course, that's not the only live bearers, but honestly, I'm going to go with something similar to how I have this 40 set up. I want to do something that's fairly heavily planted. It's got lots of hiding spaces for your fry. It's got lots of kind of tucked off places that the females can get away so that the males don't overly harass and stress them. In terms of substrate, this is a gravel substrate. And because I have so many root feeding plants, I don't have to gravel back it, which means I don't have to mess with or worry about sucking up fry. That's always a plus, because anybody that's had live bears and has had to deal with trying to gravel vac and having fry in a tank, that's just a no bueno situation. So I really enjoy this setup specifically because I don't ever have to gravel vac it. It's kind of balanced on its own and does well. So something like that, maybe to keep in mind. Again, a lot of it's going to be up to what you would like. If you're not really a planted tank type of person, you could maybe go with something just as simple as a nice cloud of guppy grass in there, so you're not having to really worry about the planted tank, if you will, and getting stuff properly planted and nutrients and all that. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to personal preference, and that's with anything. But with live bears, like Ed recommended earlier, the big things are going to be trying to have some places the females can duck off when they're being chased by the males and harassed, and having some safe places for the fry. Those are going to be some primary things to look at. Then build it around that. Go, well, this is what I like. This is what I want to see in the tank. And put that together. You should get a nice fine balance. And you could do the same. You could do it a dirted tank, sand capped with plants in there if you did want to go planted. I've also got plants that are going in the sand and gravel mix that I've got. A lot of times I like to use either guppy grass in those or Java moss. So I've got that substrate in there, but I don't actually have anything that's requiring nutrients out of the substrate. The guppy grass and the Java moss are both wonderful plants for the guppy fry to hide in, and also give some spots for the females to kind of bob and weave and break line of sight and get away from the males when they need to.
Hey, Tennessee, if you want, he said, thank you, Chanugad. If you want to post exactly what you said earlier, I think it was, do you like the Sea Chem Flourish? And I like it, but it's kind of expensive, so I have it in a few tanks. And it's kind of funny because I bought the light brown stuff, and I wanted to buy a bag of black, and I ended up buying what they now call dark, which is just dark brown. And Sean Peck did it the exact same week I did it. It's so goofy. We both did it at the same time. But it really looks good with a mix of that light brown and the dark brown. I think it looks fantastic. That's what Absolutely. I have this tank here. And you would think that I had like gravel or, not that stuff, because it's all just it's a hard clay.
72 people watching, 71 thumbs ups, and that one awesome person with thumbs down. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you all being here, including the thumbs downer. You all are amazing. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, and that's a goal that a month and a half ago I did not think we would hit by the end of 2020, and now it's looking 100% doable. So I really appreciate you all for that. It's been phenomenal to have the influx of new people to not just the channel, but also the hobby. Gotten some really awesome comments on some videos about people that are either getting into the hobby the first time or getting back into it. It's great to have you all here. And I completely understand a lot of you just listen and you don't talk in the chat, and we don't hold that against you one bit. Like some of you mentioned, you're here to learn. That's why you listen. You don't really interact because you feel that you don't have anything to add. But anytime you want to say hi or ask a question, feel free to do that, please. And thank you. Mr. Fisher said, "How dare you say not a planted tank person? Everyone needs plants." I'm a huge fan of planted tanks now that I've got it figured out, but not everybody is. Craig Broderick with the $2 super chat says, "A few bucks from my wife Leanne for Ed's cat." There you go. Nico is an awesome kitty. I need to get down to Ed's house, if nothing else, just to clean. And thank you. Oh, we're gonna do another one.
Did you say clean?
I was gonna say clean your filters again.
Oh.
Yeah, I need to clean your filters.
Well, I won't complain about that.
Thank you very much. And then John McKenzie pooping on the chat as well. I appreciate you, John. All your support, very much appreciated, my friend. Yeah, I need to get down there because I miss your cats, Ed. I haven't seen your cats in a while.
Well, and we'll have to buy some more or play some more bubble hockey too.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll be setting up that. I was actually talking to my dad today about setting up the shelving for. It was going to be a better rack, but now it's going to be a grow out. I think rack. I'll have like maybe one row of bettas, but then I'll have like 2 rows of just growing out fry.
I hate stupid people. I'm sorry if I missed your question. I tried to grab everything that was highlighted, but it says the Zen Ginger answered my question, so I'm fine. Yeah, and that's another thing about this community is just because Ed and I are currently the ones on the screen doesn't mean we're the only ones or even the ones with the answers. We've got an amazing community, and that's really what it all boils down to. Is this lets all of us get together and kind of brainstorm through topics and thoughts and projects and problems and just try and help as many people as possible and just, spread that fishy love. Bird Garden, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Rack. My condolences. I know you're going through a hard time right now, and I personally understand that. If there's anything I could do, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's always good to see you around, my friend.
My fish store guy, Rob at Aquatic Aesthetics, said Lemmias are a great live pair. It takes 6 months for them to sexually mature, which means they won't take over the tank like guppies. So
absolutely,
if you want to do a 55 and not have to worry about a Brazilian fish, and the Lemmias are really neat. He's got the tiger Lemmias. I know I've got a tank. Can't really see it because it's down low, but I think Bob Taylor's bought some from him, and so is Griffin has got some from Griffin's Fish Room. They're really neat. They're kind of a silver fish with perfect stripes down the sides.
Absolutely. I think it would be really cool to see, and this is kind of like people say, well, I want to see 200 cardinal tetras, a 55-gallon chock full of Heterandria formosa, or least Achilles. I think that would be really, really awesome. I've got a 10-gallon that's got a bunch, and I may end up doing that I've got an empty 55. I may turn it into a least Achilles tank because I just think that would be cool to just have this tank with a couple hundred little teeny fish. They're not popping them out like the guppies are, to your point, Ed. So
my 55, I'm going to be setting it up this week, is going to be daisy rice fish.
Nice. I like that.
I'm going to have daisy rice fish in my 55.
I like that. Real quick, I want to grab these and say a huge thank you. Mike's Aquatics and Things with a $3 fist bump. He likes to see me do this is my exercise for the week, y'all, during quarantine. Thank you for that, Mike. Brother, I really do appreciate it. I got a bad batch, I think. But I really do appreciate you, Mike, for the $3 super sticker, brother. You're awesome. This goes to anybody. If there's ever something I can do, whether it's fish related or community related, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me via email or messenger, or even leaving a comment on a video. I get to all of my comments. It may not be within 24 hours all the time, but I do respond to all comments. So if you're ever trying to get in touch with me with a question, feel free to do that. Rico Stan, brother, came in with the $5 super sticker with the good job Fox with the flashy thumb. Rico, I appreciate you. Really, really do. The support that I've gotten from y'all has been absolutely amazing. It's never expected, but it is always greatly appreciated. Thank you. See, there's another one that didn't come out. Thank you for that, Rico Stan.
It sounded good.
It did. It sounded really good. roll through here and make sure I don't have any last questions. And I did see Bird Garden. There he is. Rex says, thank you, Fred, for your concern. Very helpful. Brother, absolutely. Like I said, anything you need, my friend, you just let me know. And thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Not necessary from you. You have done so much to help me kind of figure out this whole process of doing things on YouTube from the very beginning of my channel. I'm forever in your debt's a good way to put it. So thank you, Bird Garden. Let's see, make sure I didn't miss anything else. We'll go through here. Mr. Fisher was asking about the sign, if they were going to fix the sign.
That's what I was just holding up. I'm gonna get probably a new one, but Bob would like to have this one. He thinks it's unique, and so that's cool with me. So, and it is unique. It definitely is. I mean, and I did think about literally pulling some of my guns out and shooting holes in it in strategic areas, especially like a slug right over a knee. I thought that would be funny. But, you know, if Bob likes it, well, he also paid for it, so it's hard to argue. But for sure, Bob, I'm definitely going to give it back to Bob because he wants it, and that's cool.
Last question I'm going to grab here. It's not highlighted, but Rocky Tinker, hello. Good to see you. New name to me here. Says Phoenix. Where did it go? Phoenix as good as Fluval 3.0. So Phoenix is a great light. The Fluval 3.0 is kind of like its own standard in terms of lighting, if you will. You know, you've got the Bluetooth and you've got the app and all that stuff. But it's Phoenix,
like the Cadillac.
Yeah, Phoenix does make an awesome light. I'm also one of those people that uses everything from shop lights to the old fluorescent bulbs to LEDs. So I don't put nearly as much emphasis on having a really, really fancy light, but I'm also not doing like a really high-end like Buse tank or anything like that. So a lot of it's going to depend upon your needs. Chances are you probably don't need to drop the money for a Fluval. If you do, go get it from Aquarium Co-op. Love those guys. Shout out. Thanks for sending me the t-shirt. Not sponsored, but they sent me a shirt and some other stuff. So go get that from Corey. Aquarium Co-op. It's got awesome products there.
Or your local fish store.
Or your local fish store. Absolutely. Local fish stores are awesome. Kev, I promise we're going to send everybody over to you here in just a second. I just don't want to leave anybody hanging. Eric at Furloughs Aquatics. My friend, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, great stream. Y'all have an awesome night. Eric, you too, my friend. Be looking forward to seeing your next video when it drops. Loving what you're doing over there. And thank you for the super chat. And we've got Colin's Critter Cave dropping in with $10. Nothing on there. Just says, as John at KG would say, here, take my money. Colin, I really do appreciate you. If you did have a question that you were wanting to attach with that, feel free to throw that in. I'll keep an eye out for a second while I say these final thank yous. But again, really do appreciate your support. You all are awesome. And you all have once again helped me through another month. Your support and kindness has allowed me to continue living the dream. So thank you all very, very much for that. I'm going to say the thank yous real quick. Wow. There we go. Now it's working. Our newest member, Sean Chadwick, welcome to the Fish Room Fever family, and thank you for becoming a member. Let's run over here and say a final run through, and thank you for all the super chatters. We had to pull all this up while I'm waiting for that to load. Huge thank you to the moderator team. You all do an amazing job each and every week, and I try and acknowledge you all. And anytime I miss it, I'm sorry. But thank you all for everything that you do. You all help keep the stream running smoothly, posting the links and helping get information out to people, as well as answering questions that maybe Ed or myself don't see. So a huge thank you for that. All the people in the Lurkers Lounge that are hanging out, I hope you all have enjoyed. The replay crew, you all are awesome. You come back after each and every live stream and catch that. Thank you all for that. Everybody that had questions and comments and contributed to the chat, very much appreciate you all. And a final thank you to everybody for the super chats and the support. We had Mike's Aquatics and Things with $1 super pooper chat. Fantastic Freaks with $2 super chat. Mainly Bettas with the $3 super chat. Kevin Marquis with that $2 super sticker. Mike's Aquatics Things throwing back at us again with the $5 super chat. Craig Broderick with the $2 super chat. John McKenzie pooped on the stream with $1. Thanks for the fertilizer. Mike's Aquatics and Things once again with that $3 fist bump. Rico Stan throwing out the $5 Fox sticker. Bird Garden with that $5 super chat. And then, of course, last and definitely not least, Collins Critter Cave. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. I love you guys. Like I said, we're going to go hang out with Kevin over at Fuggin Fish, F-U-G-G-I-N. I always spell it because I'm afraid YouTube's going to try and like smack me for cussing on a stream. Real quick, Cronto Half Moon thoughts on garden soil as a cheap substrate. Make sure you go organic with anything that you're going to do.
Be careful with garden soil.
And feel free to send me a message on Facebook Messenger, Fish Room Fever, or an email, and we can talk more about that. But I've taken 6 minutes out of Kev's time. I really do appreciate it. Final thought being, while supplies last, we've still got 25% off going on fishroomfever.com/shop. If you want to look at some Fisher plants or air accessories, go check that out. That sale ends on Monday. Turn it over to Ed for his farewell.
Yep. Guys, don't be afraid to keep... Oh, I messed it up. Guys, don't be afraid to get your hands wet. Keep those tanks clean.
And until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Catch yourself a little Fish Room Fever. Love you guys.